Have you been feeling unloved, unsupported, all kinds of uncomfortable feelings in your relationship? Are you now wondering, is my relationship over? In today's video, we're gonna talk about some signs, some things, some clues for you to know whether your relationship is done or not. And if you didn't know, I'm Myesha, life strategist for women who want it all, author, speaker, and your new best friend. I remember walking down the beach. It was in Newport. It was probably a Monday in the afternoon. It was a gentle breeze. People were riding bikes. I never forget that day because parking was easy. My ex-husband and I were walking down the beach and we're just having casual conversation. It felt very normal for us. We're talking about different things and I just, out of nowhere said, I don't know if I see us old together. And he's like, what do you mean by that? And I said, I just can't see working and doing and being like I am now, 30 years from now. We filed that conversation, but I never forgot that feeling. Sometimes our relationships are going through transformation right in front of our eyes. And sometimes our relationships are over before they're actually over. And one of the things that I see and I've experienced is when you cannot envision yourself 10, 20, 30 years from now with the same feeling you feel now, the same emotion you feel now, the same life circumstance you feel now, something in me said, there is no way on God's green earth I can do this, feel this, be here 30 years from now. That was a telltale sign that something major was happening, needed to happen, or that my relationship was probably getting to a place where it was likely gonna be over. But if you find yourself with a lot of feelings and emotions consistently over periods of time that are not changing, that are not moving, that are not shifting, and you say to yourself, I don't know if I can be married and be like this forever, chances are you got some stuff going on in your relationship. Number 2, you feel elated and happy when your partner is gone. That means when he's on a work trip or she's on a work trip, you're having a great time. When that person is gone, you feel relief, you feel freedom, you feel all kinds of things. That is a sign that maybe your relationship may not make it. Number 3, your relationship may be over even before it's over if you are dealing with abuse of any kind. People often focus on physical abuse, and in our culture, we don't have a lot of exposure to other ways people are abused. People can be abused emotionally, financially, spiritually, sexually, even in relationships. So if you don't know what those things are, educate yourself. If you have a sense, you may not know I'm being abused. You may never say those words. But if you are, your relationship will likely end in some way because it's not sustainable. Either you gotta die or you gotta go. Something has to give. I read so many books after my divorce about all kinds of things because I didn't have context for what was happening to me. And I didn't have people around that could tell me what was happening to me. Educate yourself. If you feel controlled, you feel manipulated, you feel less than, you feel invisible. I didn't even know that silence was a form of abuse. Somebody giving you the silent treatment. So we often throw around terms and we use our own frame of reference for what we think that means. So when I say to you, your relationship may be over before it's over if you're being abused, your initial reaction is, nobody hits me. If somebody hits me, I'm out of here. But you can live with a person for 5 years and they not speak to you. You can have a partner that leaves town for weeks and weeks and weeks and not communicate with you. You can be with somebody who spends all your money over and over again and you have nothing. And you're working 2 and 3 jobs to sustain your household. Depending on how we grew up, we normalize that and say, well, that's just me stepping up and being a helpmate to support my man when he's down. This is the time to educate yourself. This is also the importance of therapy, because you have a different perspective who is outside of you that can help you understand the things that are happening in your life. Number 4, if you find yourself constantly waiting for your partner to change, Houston, we have a problem. If your first thought, your fixed thought, the subject of most of your conversations is what they need to do differently, then you have a problem. Firstly, because we don't control what other people do. And you have committed to a space where your life, your joy is contingent upon what another person does or does not do. I have learned to manage me and me only. I am only in control of my responses, my desires, my wants, my needs, my words. I will forever look in the mirror at me and me alone. And in relationships sometimes, especially if you've been married a long time, you learn to accept your partner as they are. So if you are the person that's finding yourself saying, if he would just do this, if he would just do that, he hasn't changed, he hasn't changed, she hasn't changed, constantly waiting and waiting and waiting for something to give, your relationship is likely already undergone some sort of transformation. It may not make it. And just because your relationship may be over doesn't mean it has to be completely over. It may mean it needs to be renegotiated. This may be a time to say, let's rebuild anew, let's go a different path. If you have been waiting for years and years and years and years for this person to finally pay attention to you, to finally love you, to finally give you what you need, to finally be an honoring person, to be a faithful person, if you've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, chances are your relationship was over before it's over. You find yourself trying to trust again, trying to forgive over and over and over again. The goal of this, there's so many things that happen, right? We don't know. We go off of what mama did, grandma did, people in our life. I am not here to judge you in any way. If you decide your life was meant to be a living sacrifice and that you are in it for the long haul just because you said I do when you were 14 and now you're 65, turn up, live your life, do what you feel is best for you. What I am trying to say is there are things that we don't traditionally think about that may be affecting our relationships. And while you think you're holding on to something, it's probably already over. Let's cut our losses. Let's sit at the table. Let's have adult conversation and strategize. How do we move forward? I'm here to help you do your work while I'm doing my work, baby. We're gonna all find our way back home. What would you like to add? What's one thing you think in your experience is a way to know a relationship is over before it's over? Let me know in the comments. I want to keep the conversation going. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and comment. Peace and love.